Hello and welcome to Jazz Guitar Chord-melody Part 37. Hi, I'm Mike Hayes, and in today's session we'll continue work on our arrangement of Scarborough Fair. So I know that's going to be a lot of fun. But before we get started, just a quick reminder to subscribe if you haven't already, so you don't miss out on any of the good stuff. Now, here's the one time when I can definitely say, here's something we prepared earlier. Let's have a listen to our arrangement of Scarborough Fair, and then we'll start working on all the separate components that go to make up the arrangement. All right, grab your guitar and let's get started. We've said that Scarborough Fair is in the Dorian mode. Let's have a look how we could verify that. If we check out the chords in the sheet music, we'll notice that all the chords could be found in the key of C. The next clue can be found in the key signature. The song is written with one flat, B flat, the key of F major, and the one instance when a B occurs in the melody, that's in bar 7, instead of the note appearing as a B flat, it's made a natural. If we look through the melody from start to finish, we'll discover that no note is sharpened or flattened. We've already identified that all the chords can be found in the key of C, and since this song has a minor flavour, with the first and last note of the melody both being D, things are looking good for this to be in D Dorian. In Jazz Guitar Chord-melody Part 35, we introduce the concept of borrowing from various modes to create a particular effect. And that's the way I think about this. Even though this song is written in the Dorian mode, I can still borrow harmonies from the Phrygian mode and the Aeolian mode, as well as other scales such as the harmonic minor, melodic minor, and jazz minor. And I think of all these resources as minor flavours. Just as a painter who has a wide variety of colours at his or her disposal and has many different shades of green and blue and so on, it potentially gives them more freedom to express themselves. Of course, sometimes a black and white charcoal drawing is more effective. It depends on what you're going for. Now, with all that in mind, let's get to work on our arrangement and see what I've done and why I've done it. Remember, I was setting out to create a dark, mysterious, medieval type quality in the arrangement. For the introduction, I've chosen chords from the Phrygian mode. The Phrygian mode is one of the darkest sounding modes. So I'm doing this for a dramatic effect. For the first 4 bars, I'm using chords from the Phrygian mode. And then for the last 2 bars of the introduction, I'm using harmony from the Dorian mode. I'm starting out with a D minor triad. It's a first inversion of a D minor, and I have a D pedal tone. Then the next chord in the first bar is exactly the same concept. It's a C minor triad, again a first inversion of the triad with a D pedal tone. In bar 2, I'm continuing the concept of D minor moving to C minor with a D pedal tone. However, in this instance, I'm using a root position D minor triad with a D pedal tone and then going to a C minor, a root position C minor triad with a D pedal tone. In bars 3 and 4, I wanted to create some thematic development. I wanted to echo the idea that I began in bar 1, which was a D minor triad moving to a C minor triad. In bar 3, I've reverted these minor triads to their relative major triads. So whereas the first chord in bar 1 was D minor, in bar 3 the first chord is the relative major to D minor, which is F major. Likewise, I've continued that idea with the second chord in bar 3 being E flat major, which is the relative major to C minor, the second chord in bar 1. I've also set out to achieve another level of chord density in this third bar. I wanted the chords to sound thicker than the previous 2 bars, and to do this I've placed an additional note as a pedal tone, so I have an A and D played under both the major triads. And now on to bar 4, where I have echoed the major chords. So in bar 3 I had F moving to E flat, and now in bar 4 I have an F triad moving to an E flat triad, this time with only 1 bass note. I wanted the chords in bar 4 to sound lighter than in bar 3. Over to bars 5 and 6, and finally we're in the Dorian mode. Notice how I'm using a D5 chord. At this stage I'm wanting the chord to sound ambiguous. I don't want to define the chord as a D minor. Not yet at least. And then I'm using a C chord, back to D5 again. And I'm wanting to keep that mysterious, dense sound there, so I'm also playing an A pedal tone, which of course is the 5th of D. Let's have a listen to how that intro sounds. Notice how I played the D minor chord in bar 1 and bar 2 as an arpeggio, and then played the C minor as a chord. Right, then let's move over to the melody. And remember, what we're doing here is storytelling. We want to enchant the listener. And one of the ways to do that is to build in a sense of drama. Now, we've already spoke about that in the introduction. Let's do the same type of thing when we're putting together the arrangement for the melody of Scarborough Fair. In bar 1, the melody note is D, and I'm going to place a D5 with an A bass under the melody note. And again, I'm doing this to deliberately create an ambiguous sound. I'm not yet wanting to identify the chord as a D minor, so we'll leave the third of the chord out. The next note in bar 1, the note D, I'll play as a single note. And now we'll move on to bar 2, and this is where I want to create a point of special interest for the listener. On the recording, I used one of our tone clusters. And the reason why I thought that might be an effective musical device to use here is that I wanted to create something of impact. To use an analogy, it would be like having a canvas that was painted black, and this tone cluster would be like a splash of orange on that canvas. Of course, there's many other harmonic devices that we can use to create impact. The chord that immediately comes to mind that would produce a similar type of impact would be a D minor with a major 7th, and that chord comes from the D harmonic minor scale. I'm going to present 2 examples of how the first 4 bars could be presented, one with a tone cluster under the A melody note in bar 2, and an alternative version where I'm using the D minor with a major 7th under the melody note, just so you can hear the effect of how you can present the same melody line using different harmonic resources. But before we have a listen to those 2 examples, let's check out what I did in bars 3 and 4. In bar 3, I played an A7 flat 9 under the E melody note, and those of you that have been following the series so far will know that that A7 flat 9 could also be thought of as a C sharp diminished 7th chord. And I selected that chord from the D harmonic minor scale. The next note, F, I played as a single note, and the next melody note, E, I also played as a single melody note. On to bar 4, and it's our old friend, the D5, with an A bass. Okay, let's have a listen to the first 4 bars with the tone cluster under the A melody note in bar 2. Here's the same 4 bars, only this time we're going to play a D minor with a major 7th under the A melody note in bar 2. I think you'll agree that either one of those versions would work as far as getting the listener's attention. On to bars 5 and 6. And my chords of choice for these 2 bars are going to come from the D Aeolian mode. Under the A melody note, I'm going to play a B flat major 9th chord with the D bass. And this is a very effective chord because it gives the feeling of anticipation. On to the next melody note, and I'm going to play a B flat major 9th under the C. Over to bar 6, and under the D melody note, I'm going to play an A minor 11th, and under the C note, I'm going to play a C5 chord. So I have the top note C, the melody note, and under the C I have a G, and then another C, an octave lower than the melody note. Now over to bars 7, 8 and 9, and my harmony of choice here is going to come from the D Dorian mode. Under the A melody note in bar 7, I'm going to play F6, Under the B in bar 7, I'm going to play G6. Under the G note in bar 7, I'm going to play another inversion of G6. On to bar 8, and I'm going to play a D minor ninth with an A bass. In bar 9, I'm going to play an E minor 11, and this is to reflect the melody note A, which is carrying on from bar 8. The last note in bar 9, the D note, I'm once again going to play a D5 chord. The melody note D as the highest note. Underneath the D, I'm playing an A, and then a D underneath the A note, and this D is an octave lower than the D melody note. And now it's time to have a listen to how all this comes together. In this next example, I won't be playing the D5 in bar 9. That's actually part of the next phrase. So I'm going to play up to and including the E minor 11. Let's have a listen. And that's where we're going to leave our arrangement for today. We'll be finishing off the second half of our arrangement in the next session. I hope you found something interesting today in ways that you can mix modes to create different colours and flavours in your playing. Don't forget, if you have any questions or comments, to pop them in the comments section below this video. And as always, I look forward to catching up with you again next time. Bye for now.